The Kuba people from the Democratic Republic of Congo are known to surround themselves with elaborate decorative patterns found in architecture, basketry, and curved objects. Kuba designs are now being featured at the Textile Museum here in Washington. VOA's Carolyn Turner has more.
The exhibit is titled Weaving Abstraction. It features works by the Kuba people, a federation of 20 ethnic groups from the Democratic Republic of Congo. The pattern work of the Kuba has fascinated artists and collectors for over a century. Most of these works were done in the late 19th or early 20th century. Textile Museum curator Lee Talbot says the large wall hangings are actually ceremonial skirts.
The Kuba Kingdom in Central Africa, the society has many different types of rituals and ceremonies, and many of these incorporate dance and other types of ceremonial events. Many of the textiles that are on view here are ceremonial skirts that would be worn for important dances and ceremonies.
The multi-panel skirts were treated as a large-scale canvas.
The designs are created by women. They would learn these patterns from their grandmothers and their mothers. These would be passed down through the family. This is a fascinating skirt. It incorporates all of the techniques that we see for decorating these Kuba dance skirts. Applique, which you see here, applique, tie-dye, and embroidery.
Many patterns display throwing knives and daggers, which are not only weapons, but status symbols. Even more prestigious were bark cloth skirts worn by dignitaries.
This one, in fact, is made from bark. It is bark stripped from the inner layer of bark. It's pounded and dyed and then made into this skirt.
Ornamental belts were an important part of the dance ensemble.
This is a belt that's created with cowrie shells and beads. Of course, the Kuba Kingdom is landlocked, so they don't have access to shells, so shells were an important status symbol.
Cloth weavings represent a display of wealth and were displayed at weddings and funerals.
These would be made by the women of a family, but they would be the possession of the man. And they didn't have any function other than showing the amount of wealth that he'd acquired during his life.
Headdresses signified the authority invested in a person elected to an office of sacred leadership. The tunic was a unique ceremonial garment. Most of the textiles are created from raffia fiber.
Raffia are made from the inner leaves of the raffia palm tree. They grow to be, usually the fibers are about 20 to 25 inches long, and this determines the shape that we see of most of the raffia woven panels. These are not spun or plied. They keep their original length, and then they are strung onto a loom like you see here. As I mentioned, men generally weave the fabrics, and what you're seeing here is an embroidery. After it's woven, women would embroider the patterns as you see here. Embroidered with a needle and thread, and then it could be cut to create a short pile.
Presentation baskets were prized possessions which combined patterns with geometric form. They were used prominently in ceremonies of high-ranking dignitaries. Unique horn and udder-shaped lids were designed for milk gourds. The elaborate Kuba designs are reflected today in contemporary design. The exhibit will be displayed at the Textile Museum in Washington through mid-February. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.